There we go. So yeah, Cressa is a graduate of were you the zoology or the marine biology program? I can't quite remember, Cressa.
Sorry, figuring out how to unmute myself. Zoology.
Zoology, yeah, that's right.
They got rid of it.
Yeah, but she and I were in zoology together, and I remember we had a bunch of classes, and we actually did that behavior study on the Simons at the Honolulu Zoo, and got to watch them and study all their behaviors and stuff. So tonight, she is going to talk to us about her career path and what she does as an RVT at the Santa Barbara Zoo. And so I'm going to switch over control of the Zoom meeting to her so she can get her presentation going. All right, so let me hold on. All right, make host. Okay, Cressa. You are now the host. Just for any stragglers who come in, just make sure you click admit when they pop up. And I can help you with any technology problems as we get going. So
yes, I might have a few.
That's all good. Oh, and people will sometimes chat to us. So don't worry about that. And Brian is quite all right, not a problem. There's going to be some late stragglers in the entire way. So don't worry about being late. You're fine.
Okay, so you can monitor the chat thing, right? Because I have no idea how to see that.
I'll take care of the chat. Don't worry. You focus on if people start coming in late, just let them in, and because it'll pop up on your screen rather than mine.
Gotcha.
And then just do your thing, girl.
All right, you ready?
Always. I was bored.
To bore you guys. No. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Cressa Nursement, as Jenny said. I haven't seen her in, 12 years now. Time flies by. Yes, but as she said, we went to school together, got my bachelor's of science in zoology, and am now an RVT at the Santa Barbara Zoo. So I'm just going to give you a really brief explanation of how I got to where I am today as far as my career. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at the end, or I have my email listed there if you'd like to send me an email. All right. See if this actually works. All right, here we go.
Huzzah.
It's been since college, like I said, since I made one of these. All right, so yes, I am a full-time RVT at the Santa Barbara Zoo. I've been there since 2014. We have one full-time vet there and technically another full-time vet, but she is in charge of us and keepers, so we don't see her a lot. But basically, we're there to help those two vets with the entire collection. We have about 500 animals total. So there can be very busy days and there can be very slow days. So part of our job is, and sorry, forgot to mention, we do have a part-time RVT as well. She's there because of COVID. Our schedules are scattered right now, but she's there for like 4 half days a week, and then I'm there 5 full days. So it's mostly put on us individually each day. And our jobs are very similar to a small animal clinic in that we maintain the hospital. We do have a few extra added responsibilities like a manager would do. We have to order all the supplies, maintain our pharmacy, clean the equipment, order equipment, pretty much run the hospital because the vets don't do that. We also assist the keepers with training animals for medical behaviors. I've been lucky enough to help train all of our large cats for voluntary blood draws, which has helped when we've had a few geriatric cats who had to be monitored constantly. I also get to help out with observational studies. We study our 2 silverback gorillas for something called R&R, which is regurgitation and reingestion. Sounds really gross, but apparently very common in gorillas. So I do ethograms, which is something Jenny and I did in college for those gibbons. And they will write a paper about it someday once we get enough data. I also, my favorite part of the job is that I get to participate in field work. And I know a lot of zoos do let their and keepers do this, but our zoo is very particular in that they push this. Like they want us to help our local species in conservation efforts. So my favorite animal is the island fox out on our Channel Islands. And it was every year I would get to go out for a week and help National Park Service do surveys on them. Basically, we trap them, give them exams, draw blood on them, vaccinate them. Some of them get collars so they can monitor them, and just kind of monitor their status. I will get a little bit more into that later. We also help out California condors, western pond turtles, and snowy plovers, which are the cutest little birds I've ever seen. And much more. It would take me probably 3 hours to talk about everything we do, but basically, all of our animals get annual exams every year, similar to that of a small animal clinic. They're supposed to. The larger animals, like the gorillas and the younger healthy big cats, do every other year, just because it is a big thing to knock them down. And then like our giraffes don't get knocked down unless they absolutely have to, because they don't necessarily do great with anesthesia. So it's a high risk for them. And then we did have elephants. Unfortunately, we had to euthanize both of our girls a few years ago due to age-related illness. But they were never knocked down unless they had to be. And one of them did have a few teeth issues. It's months of planning for an elephant anesthesia. And a lot of people, probably like 50 people. You have to have large equipment come in to help lift them and help them stand up. So yeah, those are not done unless absolutely needed. We also store samples. We help out with research projects from other institutions and colleges. I'm responsible for collecting all of those and organizing and shipping out and maintaining our ultra low deep freezers and all of the samples we keep in them. Also responsible for maintaining contraceptive databases, who's on it, who's not. Lab work, we always have lots of that, lots of poop. Our animals are screened, every animal screened pretty much 3 times a year for their fecals. And then we also have lots of computer work to do. We have to enter lab work, we have to enter anesthesia records. There's lots of computer work that goes along with all the hands-on stuff we do. Like I said, I could keep going on about that, but I'll stop. Don't bore you. Okay, so my educational background. I went to high school at North Hollywood High School, and they have a special little 3 rows of bungalows in the Los Angeles Zoo's parking lot where we actually got to go to school. It's probably the coolest program that's out there. It's still there. So that's where I went to high school. I've also volunteered as a docent when I could, and then as soon as I turned 18, I was able to volunteer as a keeper, volunteer at the LA Zoo. I also worked in education there starting at 16. So I have a lot of history at the LA Zoo. That was my first exposure to zoos. And then, yes, I went to college at University of Hawaii, got my bachelor's in zoology, and worked in a worm lab while I was there. So I got to learn a lot about inverts. Thought that was pretty cool. And then I went on to my RVT school through Allen Hancock College. It's actually up in Central Coast at Santa Maria. And I'll tell you how I got there, because that was down the road. Maybe we're gonna change.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right. So originally when I went to college, I was like, yes, I want to do field research. Best thing ever. That's all I want to do. Then I started college. I'm like, nope, I don't want to go to grad school. I'm done with school. Once I got my bachelor's, I was like, I'm going to go out in the working field. And by that point, I knew I wanted to be a zookeeper or in a zoo in some capacity. However, zookeeping jobs are really hard to get. Tons of people want them. And especially I wanted to stay in LA. I moved back home to LA. I wanted to stay there to be close to my family. and it's almost impossible to get a full-time job there. I kept volunteering there, but I was working as in a retail position, which, you know, it makes ends meet, but definitely not where my passion was. So I got a little burned out of that, and I decided, you know what, I don't care what I do as long as it's with animals. So I was not interested at all in veterinary medicine at that point. I just wanted to be a zookeeper, but I was willing to do anything. So I found a kennel attendant position at a local small animal clinic in West LA. Got hired, and I will get to that in just a minute. Oh, sorry, backtracking a little bit. These are some of the animals I got to volunteer with at the Los Angeles Zoo. This is a baby takin, which is the cutest thing in the world.
It's a baby what?
Baby takin. It's a hoofed animal. I had never heard of it before I started volunteering there. They're huge animals, huge stock, but this was a baby, and they just look like tiny little bears.
Oh.
Why isn't it changing? There we go.
Yay, lag.
My laptop's ancient.
No worries.
Okay. I took a job at a vet clinic in West LA as a kennel attendant, and I transitioned pretty quickly to veterinary assistant. They needed somebody up front, and I was willing to do it. So they trained me on the job. I learned how to draw blood, how to monitor anesthesia, how to talk to clients, which was the hardest part, honestly. And I always say the best part about that job was the puppies. Always the puppies, especially the really saggy ones.
Yeah.
I got to raise these ones on the right. We had a owner relinquish his pregnant dog. So we had those puppies at the clinic, and I was basically their second mom.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. All right. So a few years after that, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, decided to transfer up to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So I moved with him and got a job at a small cat and exotic clinic, which was right up my alley, because I just wanted to work with exotics. So I started to get a taste of small animal exotics, if you would say. So about 50% were cats, and then the rest were birds, reptiles, some rodents, and a few ferrets. Just no dogs, because he wanted to create a quiet environment for cats and other animals. And then, so as soon as I moved up there, I started looking into RVT options, because I really wanted to start pursuing my RVT license, and I found out about a alternate route program that had just started at Allen Hancock College. They hadn't even begun. We were the first year. So I applied and was accepted, and started that. It was a 2-semester course, so a year total. We did 2 nights a week in class, and then Saturdays for 2 semesters. And it was mostly made for people who were already working as veterinary assistants, because it was very fast moving. We pretty much were expected to know a lot of stuff already. It was just the book work. We didn't actually even do labs or hands-on stuff, because we were already doing that at work. And it worked out really well. It fit right in with what I was doing. And here's a few pictures for me at that exotic clinic. We had lots of birds, and they were my favorite to work with. And then this is my dog helping me study.
Oh.
He's a good boy. Lots of studying being done. Okay. So I was finishing up that class, or that coursework, and I was still checking AZA.org, Association of Zoos and Aquariums, for jobs, zookeeping jobs in the area, especially LA. And it just happened that a RVT position opened up at the Santa Barbara Zoo, and I was only an 1.5-hour drive from it. So my husband really encouraged me to apply. I thought I had no chance in hell, but why not? And I got a phone call, had 2 working interviews, and got the job. And it blew my mind, but I felt like I was right place, right time. And the only the qualifications were basically you had to, if you weren't already an RVT, you had to be able to sit for your RVT boards within 6 months of getting the job, which was perfect because I was just finishing my class. So that worked out really well. And I was able to pass my first time. And I also think having my bachelor's helped me get that job as well. Most zoos are leaning that way. Even for the RVTs, keepers pretty much have to have a bachelor's. But vet techs, a lot of them have to have a bachelor's in RVT. All right, so basically I started my dream job. I mean, this is as good as it could get. I was in a zoo and I was doing vet med, which I had fallen in love with, even though I didn't think I would. I've learned so much and have worked with so many different species. It's just incredible. I've done a lot of cool things. All right, so I think the next few slides are just a bunch of pictures. So we do as much as we can. This is one good thing about working in a zoo. We don't need client approval. I mean, yes, sometimes the keepers can be a little hard to convince on stuff when they feel possessive over their animals, but you know, there's no limiting factor. Money usually isn't an issue. We can do any diagnostic test we need to or feel we need to. We don't need to have approval or, you know, go over an estimate with the client. That's probably my favorite part of that. So our zoo is really fortunate in that we have a lot of very wealthy people that live near us and are more than happy to donate money, which is where most of our money comes from. So we've been able to get a lot of cool equipment. So there's us, you know, using the tono pen on a Asian small clawed otter. We borrowed that laser down there, but we have one of our own that I'll show you later. But we've lasered so many animals. Some people believe in it, some people don't. I don't know, but that's a penguin being lasered. We do dentals on everything we have that has teeth. So this was our old male lion, Chadwick, and doing a dental on him. My favorite thing to do. And we also have to get really creative with some things. Turtles don't like to sit still for x-rays, so we have to use really simple stuff to kind of keep them still. And this is my buddy. His name is Joaquin. He is probably the funniest turtle I've ever met. He's an escape artist. He's a Western pond turtle. He's really cool. And we even do orthopedic surgeries on opossums. I mean, they only live 3 years, but he broke his leg because he was crazy, crazy climber and very klutzy. But we still did orthopedic surgery on him. Like, we will do anything for our animals. And then, you know, face masks don't typically fit lions, so you have to get creative in what you use. So we use milk jugs to get them a little bit deeper after they get their injection before we intubate them. Which intubation of a large lion is real fun because you have to stick your whole arm in pretty much.
Yep.
Make sure they're nice and asleep. So we've also done stem cell transfusions. We've done, since I've been there, we've done a few. We did one on this little penguin here. We've done them on snow leopards to help with really bad joint issues. I've only had to participate in one giraffe procedure, but it went really well, which was great. She tore her eyelid on something. We still don't know what it was, but her eyelid was hanging off. So we had to knock her down to repair that. It was quite the procedure. Definitely something I'll always remember. We've even done blood transfusions on a flamingo. We were very excited about this because we had never heard of it being done on a flamingo, but that's why I'm giving a thumbs up because it actually seemed to help. We do x-rays on everybody from little tiny frogs to giant giraffes very carefully. That's me holding the plate right in front of him. And if you know anything about giraffes, they can kick really hard. So it's a dangerous position to be in, but everybody's very alert. We have a CT machine, which is pretty fabulous. Not a lot of zoos do. And that's our old male lion in there. You can just see how massive he is compared to that. And this one's supposed to be a portable one in that we can roll it around. It doesn't have to be in one room. And then we have a brand new laser. We just got a K laser, which is, we're still learning. We just got it last week. But we even laser our alligator's feet because she has chronic lesions on her feet. We also do blood on pretty much everybody. Like I said, we have trained most of our big cats to do blood draws. And I found one thing that really helps. Snowbirds' veins for me were not easy to find. At least our two snowbirds did not have great popping out veins. And so I found that it helped to actually put a blood pressure cuff higher up on their tail to help it pop off rather than a tourniquet. Because we could also get their blood pressure at the same time. And we had these two geriatrics that were on blood pressure medication. So I could monitor that and their blood at the same time. It was a win-win. And he's literally just laying there eating. His keeper's feeding him on the other side while I mess with his tail, and he was totally fine with it. I will say it took about a year to get him desensitized to it. Totally worth it. I even draw blood on venomous animals like this rattlesnake here. And we have even taken hemolymph on our tarantulas. Not sure what the lab knows what to do with it, but we have sent them out to specialized labs in the past too. We had a pretty sick tarantula. Okay, so the best part of my job is babies. Of course, you'll see a theme with me. So I've gotten to be part of teams that have helped hand raise penguins, baby anteaters, which that little one down in the corner, her name was Fancy Nancy Drew. A donor named her, or let her daughter name her. But she would literally nap on me while I was doing paperwork. I was her first mom, and then she actually got to go back with her mom. Her mom had twins, and she was only producing enough milk for one of them. So the second one was becoming emaciated pretty quickly. So we had to pull her. We hand raised her. And then when she was weaned, she actually got reintroduced with mom and her sister and stayed with them until they had to go out to other institutions to start families of their own. Baby flamingos. And then our most recent joy is this little baby lion, Pauline. She was near death, basically in her second week. Just wasn't getting enough milk from mom. So we hand raised her for a few weeks and then actually introduced her back with mom. It was successful. She accepted her. And then eventually they were let back with dad. And now they're just like one big happy pride. So those experiences really make everything worth it. And then also a fun thing is when I had a baby, I got to bring her to meet my baby flamingos I helped raise. So they got to meet. That was fun. All right. So the hardest part of any vet job is saying goodbye to our favorite animals. You know, young and old. You can never save them all. There's things that just you can't help. So these are my most memorable animals that I had a really hard time with losing. But you know, sometimes it's for the better. I think probably the hardest one was this little baby giraffe over here. She was born blind and couldn't stand, so wasn't a great quality of life. We had to euthanize her, unfortunately. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the conservation, another favorite part of my job. Working on the islands is my absolute what I look forward to every year. So these are the island fox. This is how we literally have to carry traps on our backs. It gets up to about 60 pounds, and we have to hike into scrub brush for miles and miles and miles to get to the grids that need to be set up. So it's a lot of strenuous activity. And a lot of times you have to do it by yourself. Sometimes we go out in pairs, but a lot of times you do it by yourself. So when you're doing these foxes, and there's this picture up on the right, that's me drawing blood on one. You have to do it one-handed. So you've got them held upside down, drawing blood from the jugular. You have to give vaccines one-handed. You're on your own, basically. It's really not that hard. It sounds terrifying at first, but these foxes, once you put the little mask on their face, they just lets you do whatever you want. We also work on spotted skunks out there. That's me drawing blood on one down below. We just keep little plastic bags on their rear end so we don't get sprayed. Doesn't always work. Still go back reeking of skunk, but they're adorable. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So like I said, we also help with wild condor touch-ups with Fish and Game and Fish and Wildlife. We just help draw blood on them. We monitor the blood levels, help reband them if their tags need rebanding, and the radio transmitters they use to keep track of them. We help with that too. There's something else on here too. Oh yeah, Western pond turtles, cute. We help the Navy X-ray, microchip, put tags on them, and then I got to actually release one of them back into their little area. And then the snowy plovers, for the most part, we take eggs that are either abandoned or about to be washed out by a tide, and we help hatch the eggs, raise them till they're big enough to be released, and then they get to be released. And then these guys in this picture were actually injured adults that came to us. The guy in the front had a broken leg, very badly broken leg, but we were able to bandage him and rehabilitate him and get him back into the wild just a few weeks ago. So those are all really rewarding pieces too. But the struggles are definitely real. Just getting to where you want to be. I had so many plans change, from going to grad school to, working as a keeper to where I am now. So you're constantly going to have your plans change. Job availability, always a big one. If I didn't think becoming a keeper was hard, becoming a vet tech at a zoo is probably even harder. Although I was in the right place, right time. One of the biggest things is cost of living versus how much we're paid. We vet techs as a whole are not paid for what we're worth, and I think we know that. Especially for the educational background we have to have, and even now, just maintaining our licenses, those fees have gone up. Yeah, it's pretty intense. They think we're doctors or nurses or something. I don't know. But that's probably one of the reasons that people leave the jobs, I think, the most. There's a serious issue with burnout, especially at small animal clinics. I feel like, and during COVID, it's constant. It's physical, it's emotional. Sometimes it's people just are not grateful. So you do have a lot to deal with during any workday, pretty much. And then also your work-life balance. I've had major struggles with that. It's hard when you have a job that you really, really, really love and are passionate about to not take that home with you. I don't know how many fights I've been in with my husband because I can't stop thinking about an animal when I'm home. And, I should be focusing on him and my daughter. And then also when you go back to work and you just want to be home with your kid or your husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, it can be hard finding that balance, and also finding time for yourself and your mental well-being. But a few things I've learned since becoming a tech, go into it with a love for learning. Things change every day. No day is the same, which is also one of the reasons I absolutely love this job. Is because it's not consistent. It's not boring. I don't know what to expect every day. And I'm not behind a desk. Every vet is different. Don't think vets are the same. Some work differently than others. I've learned just roll with it. Don't get upset about things. Don't get stuck in one way of doing something. You have to learn to work with all the sorts of personalities, not just vets, but techs and whoever else is working as veterinary support. And also, vets are humans. They make mistakes all the time. So don't get upset with them, because everybody makes mistakes. If they yell at you, if they get tired, if they, whatever. Also, if something doesn't seem right, speak up. It's better to double check something, even if you're worried about hurting someone's feelings. Like a vet, I had a hard time with that too. you don't want to be sounding like you're second guessing of it, but mistakes have been made and animals have died because of it. So it's, even if you're wrong, who cares? Like, just say something and you can learn something from it too. And I tell everybody this too. There's really great days and there's hard days that sometimes overshadow those great days. But you just have to remember why you love your job, why you got into it on those hard days. And find an outlet too, or someone who understands, who you can talk to. Other RBT friends, even family members who are good listeners, even if they don't understand because they're not in that job. And just remember that we are the biggest advocates a lot of times for these animals, because we see them the most. And we can speak up for pain control, for comforting them. I mean, maybe not in exotic cases, because a lot of times that's the keeper's job, but where they don't want people around them. But for dogs and cats, even, you are their biggest advocate, and that bridge between the owner and the doctor. So. And of course, we have the best jobs ever. We really do, even if we're not paid enough for it. We do have the best jobs ever. So if you would like to learn more about becoming a zoo veterinary technician, there's this awesome organization that I'm a member of called AZVT, Association of Zoo Veterinary Technicians. This is how I've met so many awesome other zoo techs. We share our stories, help each other out. If we have any questions, you have people to fall back on. We also have annual conferences, usually in person, and it's probably the coolest. Yeah, usually. The coolest conference. I mean, not that I've been to a lot, but it's just so much fun. You learn so much. You make so many friends. And I don't even think you have to be a zoo RVT to go. I think you just have to have an interest in it. But yeah, if you want to check it out, that's the website. Oh, and I also have something else to say about that. Oh yeah, and so there's a veterinary technician specialist, so even a degree higher, basically, through the Academy of Veterinary Zoological Medicine Technicians. So you can have a VTS in zoo medicine specifically. I have not done that yet. I've thought about it. I might at some point when my kid gets a little bit bigger and I have more me time, because you have to write a few case reports. There's a test to take. There's a lot of work that goes behind it, but then you do get that VTS zoo behind your name. So, and who knows, some days zoos may require that to become a vet tech. I hope not. Yeah, so any questions? Those are my two favorite girls right now. Sage is a island fox who came from Catalina Island. She was abducted by a human, then released and mauled by something. Yeah, people can not be great sometimes. And then she was mauled by something, had a head tilt, so they couldn't release her. She was too habituated. So she came to us. We got her ear infection cleared up. And she's probably the coolest thing. She just likes to sit on my lap and get snuggles. So
oh my.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say. I could go on and on, but yeah, feel free for questions now.
All right. Well, first off, thank you so much for speaking.
Of course. Sorry, I went on and on.
I miss working in the zoo field a lot. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I had so many questions or so many things I wanted to say in the middle. I'm like, no, be quiet. But yes.
Yeah, I keep saying, I don't know if I could ever go back to smart animal medicine. It would be hard.
So much nostalgia and stuff from when I was assisting like my dad more in the zoos and when I worked at the zoos, and I was just like, oh, I remember doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now opened up for all of you lovely guest watchers. Please let me pull up the chat box. All right, chat box is open. So I can direct questions to Miss Cressa for you guys. Otherwise, please just start popping out questions to her. This is always the awkward part where everyone's real quiet.
Oh, trust me, I'm most people. Most of the time I'm in a Zoom meeting. Do I need to exit out of this? What do
I? You can, if you want. You can leave it up there for the question.
Because it's cute.
So.
Oh, I thought because it's cute.
Yeah. I mean, come on, they're
I
adorable.
mean, baby Pauline, look at her.
Anyone have questions?
Make it easy on me.
Well, okay then. If no one has questions, then we can end early. This is a first.
Okay, I'm either really boring, put everybody to sleep, or I'm not thorough. I'll go with the.
No.
Kidding.
They're speechless by how interesting your world is.
Of course.
Like the way I am, I just want to talk story with you and stuff like
Yeah.
stop. But
Well, we can.
we legit can. I mean, gosh, I've got plenty of stories of my own from my zoo days. But so nobody has any questions. I am shocked. I was so sure that you would, like, being the zoo RVT, would get all the questions. But all right, well, if you guys don't have any questions, then we can leave it at that, and y'all can go start happy hour early. It's Friday night.
I've got my glass of wine sitting right here ready.
Hey!
Today is my Saturday, actually.
Oh,
there's a question.
Oh yes, go. Let's hear it.
Okay, Cressa, are there more women who work in the zoo field than men? It seems that way.
I think now there is. I know it definitely didn't start that way. I think it was very male dominated to begin with, but the majority of veterinarians I know at zoos are female. And I would say, like, at our conferences, there's maybe 5 or 6 men and the rest are female. So yeah, I think that's safe to say that that's true.
Okay.
For sure.
I do know that veterinary medicine is definitely female dominated.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be that way, but it's just slowly becoming that. And I'm not sure why that is. They've been saying, like, women are better health care providers, and I'm like, that's not necessarily it, because I don't know, there's a draw to veterinary medicine that women like, and so there's just more women in it. I don't know.
Yeah. And even keepers, it's female dominated too for keepers. Especially at our zoo. I think we only have 4 guys.
Yeah.
As keepers.
When I was at Birmingham Zoo, the keepers was a pretty even mix. But as far as the technicians and the medical personnel, it was all women.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Well then, I'm gonna thank you very much, Cressa, for taking time to come talk to us. And,
thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it was a pleasure hearing about your journey and all of the exciting stuff you do. So thank you everyone else for joining us on this next little guest lecture series, and seeing that becoming a RVT for a zoo is another career option for you guys if being in the clinical setting is not quite for you. So we'll see you guys maybe next week for the next guest lecture. I don't have the list in front of me, so I don't remember who's up next on the list, but keep an eye on the school's Facebook and Instagram, and you'll see who we have coming up next week. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in a week. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Jenny,
who
you have time to talk still?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just give me a second.
Do you need? Oh yeah.
Let me stop the recording. Hang on.